isn't going to work very well. I'm trying to eat healthy, and it's not easy. A salad isn't that filling to me, but I try to make it interesting by putting fake crab meat, because real crab meat's too expensive, you know. Tomatoes, garlic croutons, that's the unhealthy thing. I got banana peppers in here, and a little bit of ranch or French dressing. I want to talk about boat propellers. um, YouTube has been suggesting videos about boat propellers to me, and I don't know why. But it introduced me to this really fascinating psychological phenomenon. Called submechanophobia. And what it is it's a fear of large man-made objects submerged underwater or partially underwater. And specifically, the epitome of this fear is seems to be boat propellers. And I'm so fascinated by this. I've always been so interested in psychology and fears, and you know, there's some things that just are scary to us and we can't explain why. But it's comforting when we find a community of other people who also experience the same thoughts we have. It makes us feel at home, and it makes us feel like, you know, we're understood and we're not so scared anymore, you know. I don't have this fear, submechanophobia, but I think I've experienced similar feelings of it, if that makes sense. I remember a time when I was little, I was watching this cartoon or something. I don't remember what. It was like a show, an animated show, and there was a flood. And it showed this scene of where there was a desert, right? A normal desert with cactuses sticking up like this and a road, you know. But it was all underwater, and there were fish swimming by, and it was like, I remember seeing this as a little kid, and it was scary to me just seeing this. Like, I didn't want to look at it because the concept, the idea of a huge volume of water where it shouldn't be was very frightening. So I get that much of it. I do. Going back to boat propellers, there's a famous ship in Los Angeles Harbor in California called the Queen Mary. It was a cruise ship that was built in the 1930s. And forgive me, I don't know the full story, but the ship had a series of accidents where it ran into another ship or something or another. And unfortunately, people lost their lives. Some of them due to coming into contact with the propeller of the ship, which is horribly sad. So now that ship is on display as a museum, the Queen Mary. And you can visit the ship, take a tour, you know. In one specific room, it's called the propeller room. And you can go into this room. There's a railing that goes around. You look down into the water, and underneath this green, nasty, algae-laden, murky water, you can see this giant boat propeller submerged underwater. And you can't see the bottom of the water either. And this is recognized as the scariest scenario possible for having this phobia, submechanophobia, right? So I looked through a series of pictures, and I wanted to really feel what these people feel who have this. I'm so curious about this, you know? I couldn't feel it to the extent that they do. But I think I can understand it, though, on a smaller level. For me, what gives it an eerie feeling to me is having a giant object and then not being able to see beyond it, like it's just murky water, and kind of like the idea of being just waking up all of a sudden and every direction you look is just pure white. Like there's no up or down, there's nothing. No depth. And when you put a giant object like a boat propeller, it's really scary to think about that. But I don't know if it's the boat propeller that's scary or the history of that boat propeller that unfortunately was not responsible because it's an inanimate object, but was involved in people's lives being lost. Is that what makes that so scary? I don't know. I don't think so, but I don't know. It is eerie. I looked at the room, a dimly lit room. They have one light shining down on this big propeller in the water. So I get it. I understand. I don't feel the fear to the extent of what others expressed. But I understand where they're coming from. I think people who have that fear, I think there's a form of intelligence that coincides with it, submechanophobia. Because I think you have to have a really strong imagination to find something like that fearful, you know? Fear invoking. Mm-hmm. I was in California with my brother a couple years ago. We were hiking through the mountains. I'm consuming more than I'm eating at a ratio of like 9 to 2. But anyway, we're hiking through the mountains and we reached the top of this road that's going through the mountains. And it's cloudy. There's clouds coming in. And we go off to the edge of this peak. And then you look into this abyss and there's no depth. Like it's a drop off, but it's all clouds coming up and like you look into it and there's just nothing. Nothing. You can't pinpoint anything, but you feel this void there. So that's probably the closest feeling I've ever had to that. Like you didn't want to look at it. Like it was too much to take in. Just that nothingness, that void, that huge, vast chasm was like you just didn't want to look at it, you know? Um, so I understand. Um, oh, okay, I got one. When I was little, I looked at pictures of floods in a book, and flipping through the pages, there was a street full of water up to the cars, and then a helicopter view of just trees with all this water where it shouldn't be. I think I might have something with floods, actually. It's a little bit uncomfortable for me to think about a bunch of water where it shouldn't be. It's kind of a little scary to me, actually. You know? Like the idea of a big city and then water all over, you know? It's kind of scary. Another one is lightning. Really close lightning. Like lightning is one of these majestic things that you usually see at a distance, and it's can be very frightening. But I was online looking at lightning pictures, and there was a picture of somebody. I guess they'd set up their camera out their back window, and I don't know if this picture was real. It looked real to me. I've seen a lot of fake lightning pictures. It's probably about 12, 15, 20 feet across their yard, just in front of a picket fence. There was a streamer, like when lightning comes down like this. There are other little streamers that come up out of the ground to meet it, and then you get the charge is released, right? But there was this little streamer coming up from the ground in front of the fence, like 20 feet away from where they had the camera. And I opened that picture up, I clicked on it, and I had to like look away. I don't. It's weird, and maybe that's my phobia, or not my phobia, but my form of this. You know, like I didn't want to look at it at first. Like it was just freaky to me. I don't know why. Just the idea of lightning being that close and that calm. And you look at a picture like this. I took this in Arizona. That's, a mile, 2, 3, 4, 5 miles away. But just the idea of lightning, a form of it, just a little tiny streamer coming out of the ground like that is like, that little streamer is part of that giant bolt of lightning, you know? So maybe that's it for me. Mm-hmm. Um, there's a boat propeller on display at the state park here in Northwest Indiana, on the southern shore of Lake Michigan. I don't know if it's the Edmund Fitzgerald propeller. I don't think it is. I think it's too small. But it's about maybe 7 feet in diameter. When I was little, I used to run around on the propeller, like jump from blade to blade, Boat propellers are, to me, they're scary because, I mean, they have the potential to be scary to me because I think of the damage they could do to yourself or to somebody who's diving or something. I just watched a video while I was on my YouTube algorithm run, clicking one video to another, just let the algorithm take you in. And there was a video of a diver. He was probably in about, I don't know, 25 feet of water. He's going along the bottom here. He grabs onto this bar underwater. It looked like some kind of wreckage or something. I don't know. He looks up, and a big freight liner comes over him. A big ship goes over the top of him. And then you can hear this propeller coming over, and he looks up, and I swear that propeller is probably 12 feet away from this guy as he's looking up. And you hear this boom, 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 the vibration it's making. And that was scary to me, seeing that. That was scary. Absolutely. I would have been so scared if that was that guy. Because you don't know what kind of suction or what kind of currents this propeller. I mean, you have an idea. A big propeller that big, 10 feet in diameter, spinning like that, it'll create some crazy suction, some currents that'll take you right in. The amount of water that propeller is displacing, it's got to be a lot. To move a big ship like that, that's some pressure, that's some suction. That video was scary to me. Somebody who has submechanophobia probably shouldn't watch that video unless they're wanting to challenge themselves. That one scared me. But I wonder for some people who are scared of boat propellers, what percentage of them were scared of them to begin with versus those who, became aware of boat propellers being the center of fear for submechanophobia? What percentage of those people already were scared of them and didn't even know they had a problem versus the people who, oh yeah, I have this because, I heard this, I heard that way, I heard that, this person said they're scared of this propeller, I heard that and that. I wonder how much of it is nature versus nurture, you know? Did the influence of hearing that subconsciously influence their fear of boat propellers? I don't know. I suppose that could go to say for everything else. Spiders, you know? Are people really that scared of spiders, or is it just the whole spider craze? Like, oh, spider, you know, influencing and supporting and building upon those fears and encouraging those fears, you know? Everybody else is talking about it, so it makes me even more, you know, stuff like that. I get this about submechanophobia. A large volume of water where it shouldn't be. That's scary. I agree 100% that that's scary. And seeing an image of that is pretty scary to me, actually. Not to where I can't look at it, but it's like, ooh, yeah, it gives you a little chill on the neck, you know? But looking at a boat propeller, it's kind of like, you know, it's supposed to be in the water. But I do get it. I understand looking at a giant piece of machinery underwater and there being no end to the bottom of the water. Like, I think I appreciate that. I understand where they're coming from. But I almost want to feel the fear. I really do. I'm so fascinated by psychological things like this. I don't want to feel it. Well, my salad's over. It's all done. Thanks for watching.